As far as real estate goes right now, everyone knows it's a seller's market, right?
That's correct. Yep. Still a seller's market.
First off, what are your thoughts on this market right now?
So my thoughts, and I tell I tell my sellers this all the time, if you have a property that you bought in the last kind of upcycle or upswing and you feel like you're not sure if you have any equity, now is the time to A, check, reach out to a realtor and see what the value is, and B, put the thing on the market. I just met with 3 sellers this morning, and each one of them was so worried about getting everything perfect. It's more about the timing. So we're in a seller's market. We're in the spring. We're at the end of a 10-year or 12-year, however long that period was, upswing. Now's the time. So before that market stabilizes and dips down, we're in a really good market. And as a seller, you need to take advantage of that. Take advantage of all the buyer programs. Take advantage of all the first-time buyers who couldn't buy last year that are back in. So demand is high, supply is low. That's success for a seller. Sellers and public in general is always somewhat behind the 8 ball, and they follow, but they follow a little later than they should have to really capitalize. So what you're going to see is you'll see more and more sellers come off the fence, become actual sellers, drive that supply up, and now you get equilibrium. And once you get that, now prices will stabilize and somewhat move down. So if you're a seller, again, with that 10% increase, I'm not a big stats guy, but I can feel it. I work off of feelings, like what I see when I'm out there, and you kind of talked about that in the beginning. In the field, I feel more listings. I see more listings. Yep. Buyers I can see it when I have a buyer that sends me a list of 5 or 10 houses, and 8 out of those 10 are still available. Last year, 2 would have been available.
Are you finding that when you're over, like if a seller comes on the market with an overpriced listing versus a seller that comes on the market priced at fair market value or even a little under fair market value, who's going to sell the house at a higher price?
So that's a tricky question, but I always say if you price it right, price it to move it. If it's priced too low, the market will tell you that you'll get over asking price.
I agree.
If you price it too high, it becomes stale. When things become stale, people question what's wrong with it. You start doing drastic drops. It looks like you're desperate. Now you're in no man's land, and you really put yourself in a corner.
Kyle, let me ask you a question. Where do you see the real estate market? Let's look ahead a couple of years. What do you see happening?
So I think the real estate market's going to run in tandem with the economy, and obviously economics and the economy has been very, very strong in the last few years. At some point, things will pull back a little bit, and you'll see things slow down. So on the real estate front locally, I think we have another good year for sellers. At that point, I think next year you'll see prices stabilizing, you'll see inventory continue to creep up, and buyers will, if mortgage rates go up, will somewhat come out of the market. So those 3 things are going to ultimately result in one thing. You're going to see the market pull back a little bit. So pricing will probably start to pull back in the next 1 to 3 years. And then after that, I think we could be in for a little bit more of a pullback if we start to see economics go downward, if we see people losing their discretionary income, and if jobs and employment rates start to be negatively impacted. So I think we're at the end of a cycle. You're going to see things pull back. Will we see a drastic pullback that we saw back in 2010, 11, 12? No, but I think we're going to definitely pull back. And if you're an investor, kind of hang tight and wait until that pullback happens to get in.